What I do is I transition into other things that I'm looking for or that I specialize in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Annuity Fundamentals. I'm your co-host Kylie Malat. We also have Ryan Anderson on the line and the one and only Brendon Johansen. Have you ever been in an office before and they have the same guy at the leaderboard over and over, week after week? Well, we got him on our podcast today, and that's Brendon. I worked with him, and so did Ryan for a few years. And if you're competitive at all, you've heard his name once or twice. So he's been at the top of the leaderboard for Medicare and for annuities for quite some time. And so today's going to be an exciting episode. He has a lot of good information, and he knows how to write business, and he's going to help us today to help you so you can write business as well. So we're super excited to have him. Thank you, Brendon, for being here, and welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Now, when Kylie talked about you being at the top of the leaderboard, the three of us used to work at the same agency together, the same organization, and he's not kidding that I was the number 2 guy most of the time, and Brendon was the one guy I could not beat. And I'd always say, no, I don't need to be at the top. I really needed to be at the top. That was a moral thing. In fact, in our little weekly reports, I beat Brendon. I've still got that report. It's in my filing cabinet here someplace. It's one of those things you just hang on to. It's like, dang it, I was the number 1 guy. It was only for a week, and he was on vacation. But we don't need to go into that. But Brendon, we started that organization that we were captive in a hybrid situation. We got to cut our teeth. We learned a lot of business. We learned about being holistic in the business. We learned there's the ethical piece to it, the how to help the client be holistic in the home. That we got that foundation there. Great organization, and both of us kind of moved on, did our own thing. And you went off and formed your own agency, the Johansen Insurance and Financial Services Company. That you're one of the national leaders for plan advisors on the Medicare side, and you've got your own agency down there. Now, one of the things about our podcast here, it's designed to help industry professionals advance their career. And you've been on both sides of it as far as a brand new agent, a top performing agent. If you're bringing somebody in, brand new, green, and they can't spell annuity, they can't spell Medicare, they don't know the difference between an Advantage Plan and a MedSup, how do you guide them through that? What's the counsel you'd give to that brand new agent on how to be successful as you've been?
Well, the number one thing is just you've got to learn how to get in front of people, and you've got to whatever fear you have of talking to people or making phone calls, you've got to just get over that. And it's ultimately it's a numbers game. You've got to talk to X amount of people, and that leads to so many sales or clients. And over time, you get better at it. You're able to convert more of those into clients. But ultimately, you have to get in front of people.
So, Brendon, when you started out, let's pretend you're in your first 6 months, and what are some things, if you could do it over, you would do differently, but if you could do it again, you would do the same?
Well, do it over. Let me think. Let me grind on that a little bit in my head here. The do it the same. I can. There's lots of mistakes I've made, so what to talk about there. But ultimately, the things that I did well is I just got on the phone and I started making phone calls like crazy. You start with people that that are maybe a little more friendly, but also just spending a lot of time attempting to set up appointments, and that was the name of the game for me. If you can't set appointments, you won't see people, and so that's the number one skill that I really focused on and became really proficient at. Is if you have a full calendar, everything else just plays out. So I think that's the number one, is you just have to do it. It's real easy to talk yourself out of doing it,
A couple of things about that, Brendan, is I think are fantastic. That I remember you and I talking years ago. One of the things you said that is in your phone process, it wasn't just a matter of let me get you on the phone, but you had a much more lengthy process with that, if I remember right. Didn't you go through and I mean, you almost had the product done, the product sold in that initial phone call. Kind of
Yeah.
go through that. I've got a T65 list. If I've got a referral list, if I've got a mail lead, whatever it might be, set the stage for us. And how did you go through that? Kind of use some of the same language you did so that somebody hearing this might be able to take it and implement it into what they're doing now currently.
Yeah. So my number one rule has always been, and this is going to sound a little, I don't know, it's going to sound a little cold maybe, but my number one rule was I'm in charge of the phone call. And so, in other words, I decide when this phone call is done. Now, they, of course, can hang up on me. That's an option. But if they don't hang up on me, I decide what we talk about. I lead the conversation, and I decide when we're done. And so with that focus, it's real easy for agents to let people, to give them reasons to end the call, whatever. I have an agent. I don't have time. I'm not interested. I mean, the people will throw up a million different ways to get you to stop the call. And if you have the mindset that you're in charge of the call and you decide when it's done, then you just keep moving forward. And, if they don't hang up on you, then the conversation will keep moving forward. So ultimately, in that conversation, I was looking for what is it that they currently have? Are they on Medicare? Yes or no? Do they have? So generally, the number one thing I would hear right off the bat, if let's say I was calling a lead, I would say something like, I'd introduce myself. This is Brendon. I'm a local agent. I like telling people that I'm local. I'm right here in the area you live in. And I specialize in all things Medicare, if that's what the lead is. Medicare, if it's life insurance, I specialize in life insurance. But in this case, it's Medicare, so I specialize in all things Medicare. And you had requested that information. And so I'm calling to touch base with you and see how I can help. I always kept it very friendly, non-confrontational, not pushy, just a very friendly kind of a chat. And you can do that and still be in charge of the phone call. So number one, they always say, "Oh, I didn't request information," or "I didn't want you to call," or "I didn't," whatever. So there's objection number one. You can take them up on that and say, "Oh, okay, no problem. Have a great day." Or you move forward. And the way to move forward is simply you say, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. But you do have Medicare, right?" "Yes, I have Medicare." "Okay, Medicare A and B?" "Yes." So you start gathering information and make sure that there's someone that is qualified. And if I'm selling a Medicare supplement, I'm going to want to know what they have, what plan it is. Is it F? Is it G? Is it N? How much are they paying for it? I need to know about their health. Is this something that will qualify? Will they get through underwriting? So anyway, all of that information is gathered right then and there. And so when I set that appointment, it's 3/4 done. I mean, I already know everything I need to know about them. And I know what company, generally in my head, what I'm going to use when I get there. So anyway.
No, that was great. So when you're talking to a prospect, right, and you see that they have a Medicare supplement or that they have an Advantage plan, does your mind, I know mine does, so I'm asking maybe if I'm crazy or if your mind does that as well. Typically when I hear someone's on a Medicare supplement, I think, okay, they must have assets or they have a higher net worth. And so that might be an annuity opportunity. Whereas if someone's typically obviously if they're on a D-SNP, I've qualified them right away that we're not going to have the annuity conversation, right? But if they're on an Advantage plan, it could be a hit or miss. Advantage plans are getting really competitive, so they are nice, and that doesn't necessarily put you in a certain tax bracket or not if you have one, especially if you're in a big city. They are very competitive. But for me, when I'm qualifying those clients, I'm also qualifying what can I help them with next. And I think that's really important for when you're buying leads, right? So when I would buy leads, I wanted the T65. I wanted people turning 65 who needed me because they needed Medicare, and I was their Medicare lady who would also position myself as financial services, life insurance, long-term, short-term care, those types of things. And I think a lot of people get stuck in their niche. And I think what gets really dangerous when you are doing Medicare is if you're wanting to transition into the annuity space, but you're only helping or buying those leads that are D-SNP. So I would recommend, and I'm sure you would too, so maybe you can expand on that, of just what type of leads that you're buying to set you up for success.
Yeah, so I mean, generally, I'm with you. I actually tend to try to avoid the Medicare, Medicaid group, and that's mostly, that's a preference that I have, like you. Those are great as you're getting started to, get a little money in your pocket. They also tend to not stick. Those are clients that you tend to that lose. They're so. Yes, I agree that's not my general focus. When I'm setting an appointment, my personal focus is whatever that lead is about. I attempt to set the appointment based on that. So I don't bring up other things in the conversation unless I need to. So what I mean by that is if I set the appointment based around Medicare, then I go, if the appointment's set, great. I'll have those conversations in the meeting about life insurance and about annuities and finances in general. But if I'm talking to somebody and let's say they have a Medicare supplement and they just aren't interested, absolutely, they're in love with the company they have and they think it's the best, and it's just like we're not getting anywhere. One option would be to end that phone call because it's just not happening. The next, what I do is I transition into other things that I'm looking for or that I specialize in. So I'll tell people, I'll say something like, before you go, real quick, I just want you to know that I also specialize in life insurance and annuities. Do you have life insurance? So then I'll back up and I'll focus on that. That's the next, kind of the easier of the two to set an appointment around. So we'll have a quick chat about life insurance. If I can set the appointment based on that, I'll do it. That's the end of the conversation. I'll talk about annuities later. If they're not interested in life insurance, now I'm going to annuities. Do you have annuities? Or, it's kind of that conversation. And it's shocking how many appointments over time I have set up where I've been the full on stonewalled on the Medicare conversation, not happening, can't find a way in, or I said they weren't interested. Maybe they have health issues that it's just not happening. There's nothing you can do there, and it, which also generally means life insurance as well. But so I have set up a lot of appointments using that method of talk about what the purpose of the lead, what's the lead based around Medicare. Great. Call about that. If I can set the appointment, perfect. If not, I've set a lot of appointments from Medicare leads for annuities, just over the phone like that, having a basic conversation about if they have annuities, if they're interested. Yes, they do. And anyway, set an appointment based around that. So,
you just swerved into a couple of different things. When we here at Annuity Fundamentals, that we work with agents and we help them go from Medicare and life to annuities. And we use this example all the time. You're right here. We want to move you right there. And the key three things we train them to do: how do you introduce yourself? Number two, how to do a fact finder. And number three, how to do a tee up. Now, you, as far as the fact that we just invited you on here to do this, and you're familiar with what we do and stuff, but that you mentioned the fact that you go through, one of the first things you do to get to from the Medicare to the money is you do a proper fact finder. Then the introduction. Now, the way your particular model works, which is wonderful, is you probably do a small intro. You're calling them about that lead, but at the end, there's a couple other things. You get that introduction in there to let them know that, hey, I'm not just the Medicare guy, or I'm not just the final expense guy. You let them know there are other avenues. Is you had the courage, the backbone, the ability to get out of your own headspace and say, hey, I'm going to just lob this Hail Mary out there. The Medicare, the Med Sup, or the final expense that I bought this lead for just went up in flames. What have I got to lose?
Absolutely.
And how do I transition, or how do you get your agents to transition from, so I'm in your agency. I've gone through, I've been working, I've got the phone thing figured out. I've got the appointment thing figured out. I'm competent. I'm regularly selling annuities, excuse me, not annuities, med sups, advantage plans, final expense, getting some indemnities in there. How do you help an agent transition from the gateway product into the money? What would you say if I was your agent? How would you help me with that?
Well, number one, ultimately, there's phases to this. Number one is learning some basic language to tee up an opportunity or an appointment, to have someone else come in, like me or you guys. Someone who's very capable and competent can take the tee up and go in and take it from there. That's phase one. They just simply are looking for tee-ups. Phase two is they become the competent, capable annuity expert. And there's only a couple of ways to get there. I mean, you have to have a whole lot of time. Annuities are not a quick learn. They take some time. We're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars for people, and they don't just they've got to trust you and feel like you know what you're doing. So the greatest thing that they could do is take your course, learning the fundamentals of annuities. I mean, having an opportunity to learn from experts like you two who have done it a ton. I mean, you're both very, very capable in this field. And so that's an incredible opportunity. And so of course, I've had my agents go through your course. So, I mean, for me, it's like cheating. We're cheating. We've got a place to send our agents hand them off to you guys for 6 weeks. And it's incredible. So that's what they really should do. Everybody should be taking your course. Because it's going to fast track. It's going to warp speed. We were talking about sci-fis before let's do some sci-fi.
What did you say? Dune is the greatest sci-fi book ever written.
Yeah.
I was being chastised because I haven't watched the movies yet.
Warp speed. That's a good sci-fi term, So you guys, I mean, you truly warp speed people from knowing very little, nothing, to actually being competent. They, at the end of your course, they have language. They understand the fundamentals of what an annuity is, what kind of, what they can do. So anyway, that's truly one of the best things that any new agent can do is take your course.
You know what? And thank you for saying that. And that was flattering, and I appreciate that. Very kind.
It's the truth.
No, I think that's important to know, right? I mean, agents are always looking for the one thing. What do I say? They really are. That's what they come to our course and they take it, and it's what do I say? How do I say it? And so we give them some language, right? Words, sentences, phrases that they can use that opens up the opportunity. I mean, you said it beautifully. Like, I take control of that conversation, and if they're not Medicare, I pivot. And that's that you're good at because you've been doing this a long time. But for those who aren't, the pivot, that is really hard for them to transition from, okay, this is a Medicare call, to, okay, I'm going to qualify them. Maybe they might be a life insurance lead, or maybe I could get an annuity from that. But just to open that up, and language, that's the fundamental. Really, that's what we're teaching is the things that you say to get into the conversation, and you need to be competent. I know we say you don't have to know everything about the product, but you should know enough that you can have a conversation about options in retirement. So I appreciate that you say language is important, and I would agree with you.
Huge. Yeah.
Let's talk about that 60% in the middle, just the normal agents. They come in. What do you think the learning curve is to go from Medicare to annuities as far as to really become competent, to be that closer you talked about? How many cases do you think they need to go through and see?
Wow, that's a good question. Oh boy, 10 or 12, I don't know. What do you think? That's something I haven't really thought about, but
I'd put it
it
about
takes
there.
a few.
I mean, if we think to our old company, there was a requirement. I think it was 5 we were required to do with somebody before
Yeah.
they'd even let us do it on our own. And after I did 5, I'm like, no, I
Yeah,
don't want to do
exactly.
these.
I mean, it takes a lot. It does. It's probably 12 is probably low.
Yeah, I mean that's how I started. I brought Ryan in on my annuity conversations because I knew nothing. I mean, and that's what new agents, they also are you're aware of what you don't know, right? Like you're aware if you're not the smartest person in the room, which you shouldn't be. You should always surround yourself with people smarter than you. But when you're having that annuity conversation, I know I sure wasn't ready in my first month. I mean, I had taken this training, I had learned the systems, but I also knew my skill level, and I needed to see it a few times. And the more you see it, the more comfortable you get, because it's not only just the presentation, right? It's the questions that come after. Okay, how do I field those questions? What direction do I go in? What do I need to learn more on my back end about? What articles should I be reading? How am I perfecting my craft? And support is everything. And I think there's a lot of agents, and even agents who come into our course who think, I can do this by myself. See you later. And then they drop off, and maybe they're really good for a week. And then they think, okay, wait a second, what do I do? And so I think finding somebody to support you on the back end is everything. I know I wouldn't be here if I didn't have support when I first started. I know you guys wouldn't be here if you didn't have support. It's too hard. This business is too hard. That's why there's a 92% fail rate. I mean, really, it comes down to training and to how can I be successful and what people do I surround myself with. So I would agree with both of you when you're starting this, having a mentor or having someone that you can lean on and say, hey, I have an annuity opportunity. Now what? And getting that help and that's how you also learn language, right? You hear other people and then you repeat it, or you read books and you repeat it. So I agree with you.
Absolutely.
One of the things that we tell people, 50% of something's better than 100% of nothing. We've trained folks, and we've got a couple of them that just call us on the regular, and it's like, oh, I've got an annuity opportunity. It's $800,000. Like, that's fantastic. What product do I use? And we'll go through it with them. What should I do? It's like, would you like me to help you see with? No, I got this. I can handle it. So let me just do a couple of recaps here for you. Just kind of make sure that I got everything what you said. We want to get on the phones, learn how to talk to people, learn how to get in front of people. So learn that base gateway product, whether that's med sups or life insurance, whatever it might be. Then when you want to get into the annuities, the first thing we want to make sure is to do a solid tee up. Be able to identify the money and then be able to get in front of them. Don't try to close it yourself. At Annuity Fundamentals, we have folks that can help you with that as well. And then after you've been through 10 or 12 is, I think, the number that we came up with, that you've seen enough of these. So, I've got a MIGA. I've got one for income. I've got one for growth. I need one for long-term care. I'm not appointed with that company. So once you get a few of those things at you, then start to try to do them on your own. And I would even still say, go try to close it on your own, but you make sure you've got somebody who knows what they're doing to help you with the case design, the product selection, to let you role play so you can walk into that appointment prepared.
One thought here that I didn't say that was, I think, important. After the 10 or 12, when you're off doing your own, really the small ones are the best ones for learning, because those,
Great point.
Nowadays, I'm sure, you come across I shouldn't even say this in a recorded situation, but You have a $50,000 annuity, you're like, it's not something you're real interested in. But when you're new, that is a great place to cut your teeth, because that 50, 100, 150,000, those are easy to close, and those are the ones that you should really be learning on. But even after you've got 15, 20, often you're going to need a heavy hitter, like Ryan here, to come in and close the 500,000, the 800,000. Those are not easy to close, and someone new, it's unlikely that that's going to work out. So it's really good to have someone who can handle that. And an 800,000, like you're saying, Ryan, an $800,000 annuity at 50%, that's still a $400,000 annuity on your own. So that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. Call in someone that can close it.
You heard it from the best. Call in someone who can close it. Absolutely. Well, Brendon, thank you so much for joining us. We've had a great time. We'll for sure have to have you back on. There's not a lot of people like Brendon in the industry. He is someone you definitely want to surround yourself with, and he makes you definitely level up your game. So I know he did that for Ryan and I. So we appreciate you, Brendon, on a level you don't even know. We appreciate you coming on, and we had a great time. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. This is what this whole platform is for. We want to answer the agent questions, and we're trying to help you put more money in your pocket quicker. So thank you for joining us today. This is Annuity Fundamentals. I'm Kylie Malott, joined with Ryan Anderson, and we will see you next time. Thank you.